everybody, Sergey here from Ukramedia.com. First of all, happy Friday to all of you that tuned in. And also, I want to let you know that I'm flying solo today. So if you have any questions and you don't see me reading them, I'm probably not seeing it. So I will ask for questions. But thank you for tuning in. And by the way, before I start, I want to make sure that you can hear me. You can see me. That's probably a good indicator that you guys are here. Let me know if you can hear my voice. I know there's a little delay. Keep that in mind. There are a couple seconds delay. It's always annoying. But welcome, everybody. I'm going to wait a few more minutes for everyone to arrive here. Interesting topic, Blender. And a lot of you probably, if you know me personally or you've been following this channel, you know that I've been kind of dipping into Blender for a while. In fact, I got into 3D because of Blender. A friend of mine, Byron from Kingsport, Tennessee, he got me into it. And then I went to school and I learned Maya. So I actually learned 3D properly through Maya, but I was kind of introduced to it using Blender. And so it's not a new concept to me at all, by any means. But I'm not like a pro at it either because I don't use it every day. But lately I have been. So let me kind of hang around for a second and see what everyone's doing here. Let me see. All good? All right, we're all good. Everybody's here? Awesome. All right. Well, I know I made it kind of a big deal, Blender, and I just, I posted a video yesterday talking about how we were working on the course on how to create this graphic right here. We're going to talk about sports graphics, how to create sports graphics. It's just something I'm really passionate about. Many of you know I come from Fox Sports. This is my background. I did a lot of sports graphics for Super Bowl, NFL, a lot of big stuff. But we use Cinema 4D. We didn't use Blender. But I was always passionate about Blender. And a lot of my Fox Sports coworkers would agree that they made fun of me a lot. I mean, they would throw jokes at me like, what are you going to do next? Show us how to use Movie Maker or iMovie? I get it. It's free. You automatically assume that Blender is an amateur tool, but it's not. I'm here to tell you that it's not. One more minute before I kind of just start my talk here. Let me kind of look to see what you guys are saying. All right, we're good. Keep back After Effects. All right. First of all, I want to know what you guys think about Blender. Like just throughout. I mean, I'll read these comments later, but I'm just kind of curious to see where you guys are at with it. How many of you know the tool? How many of you don't? But today I kind of wanted to just kind of go through some of the topics, why I like Blender, why I'm showing such a big interest in it. And that's all it is. I'm not super prepared for this. This is just me jumping in, kind of writing a few ideas, and just to create a conversation, because most of you are Cinema 4D people like myself. I use Cinema 4D. I have nothing against Cinema 4D. In fact, I want to make it clear that this is not, abandoned C4D video. I mean, I love C4D. I still use it. I don't think Cinema 4D and Blender, I don't think you can put them on the same level as far as motion graphics go yet. However, it's, there's certain things that are up for debate, and that's something I want to talk to you about first. All right, I'm just going to dive in. So the first thing that I love about Blender, and the most obvious one is obviously it's open source. And you might think, yeah, it's free. I get it. It's a no-brainer. But it's not only that. It's not only the fact that it's free. What I like about it, it's an open source, that it's available. The code is out there for coders and everybody that want to play with it. And what that says to me is that it's easier to change, to create add-ons for. Like a lot of you see a lot of coders kind of add things to Blender, which is amazing if you think about that. So because they make the build available every single day, I think it's builder.blender.org, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. I'm sure you guys will. But they make it available daily. The source is out there, and it's awesome because people that know how to code can come in and create stuff, make it available to the community. They can use it. So that to me is more exciting than the fact that it's free. So open source comes with a lot of things other than that it's free. Obviously, that's a big sales pitch. I mean, you can beat free. I mean, obviously you can't. But I'm more excited about the fact that it's available for coders to create and add on to Blender. That's exciting. But also the fact that it's free. For example, a lot of you in the comments below, I've been kind of reading in the chat room, you've been talking about how, like, it's great and all, but Blender, it's not, many studios don't use Blender, and I hear you, they don't. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it. I'll give you an example. And by the way, this is just me talking right now. Okay, let me make sure what you guys are saying. Blender. Steve, welcome, man. We have Mac. All right, I need to stay focused. But a lot of studios don't use Blender. I hear you. But the cool thing about Blender, it's so awesome in a sense that you can download it and use it on your box, separate from Cinema 4D. For example, I love Cinema 4D, but what I hate about Cinema 4D is UV unwrapping. I don't know if you've used Cinema 4D. It's the worst tool. Like, Cinema 4D just needs to figure it out. And I know that they will be releasing, like, it seems like with each release, we're like, UV unwrapping, it's not there. It's been like that constantly. But I hear that they're doing a lot of building from the, they're building the strong foundation now properly, Cinema 4D people. And eventually it will tackle that. But I would download Blender and use features that are not in Cinema 4D in Blender while working at Fox. I did that. I did UV unwrapping. I did fluids. I did smoke stuff simulations in Blender and then exported it, brought it into Cinema 4D. So what I'm saying is, like, you might be wondering, like, why would I need to learn Blender? Well, I would say even if your studio doesn't use it, you can still use it to get things done at work. And when you get home, you're familiar with it. You can take on freelance gigs and you can continue, creating elements and things of that nature. So I get it's not there yet as far as like getting a job in a studio, but it's 3D is 3D. Doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, I don't pick up Blender all the time, but because I know 3D, I mean, heck, I learned on Maya and I was able to hop from Maya to Cinema 4D to now Blender. It's not an easy switch in the sense that you have to know how things work and things of that nature, but ultimately it's 3D. If you get how to model, if you get how to do UV unwrap and all that jazz, how to do animation, it's the same concept. Curves, all of that is the same. So my point to that, I know I went a little too long, but let's keep going. So my first point was open source. I love it. I think it's great. Not only that it's free, but it's also available. The code is available for people to add on to, which is great. Now, another thing is it's lightweight. I don't know if you've noticed this. I don't know if you played with Blender enough. That thing is so quick to install and so small to where you can put on a thumb drive. I literally would put on a thumb drive and just, plug it in, work, pull out, and go back to whatever. And at Fox Sports, we couldn't install anything, but this isn't installing. It's just, it's running on your thumb drive. I mean, it's that awesome. So it's really lightweight. Installation takes no time and it's super small. Well, I wouldn't say super small, but it just didn't take, it runs on the thumb drive. That's pretty impressive. That's my second point. The third point, it's a powerful tool. Like if you look at Blender, like right now we are in Blender. Like right now, I am using like a Eevee render. It's a real-time render engine. Like I'm using a laptop, I'm using screen capturing software right now, and it's still keeping up. I mean, that's pretty cool. Obviously, we have some limitations with Eevee, which I'll talk about here in a second. But the reason why it's powerful, because you can get a lot done in Blender. I don't mean just power, meaning like render speed, but I'm talking about things like it's a video editor, it's a 3D tracker. I mean, they have like gaming engine, animation ability. I mean, sky is the limit. If you look over here, like for dynamics and stuff like that, like select one of these, for example, you can see we have like everything that Cinema 4D has. We have dynamic paint, which I'm not sure if Cinema 4D has that, but soft body, we have fluid, smoke, rigid body, all of that stuff is still in there. We have modifiers. You can look through all of them. I mean, array, bevel, which I'm not too crazy about the array in Blender. It's not the same, but it's got the same tools, just a little different, a little out of the norm how we're used to doing things in Cinema 4D. But essentially, if you get the concept, it's the same thing. It's just slightly different workflow. And that's something I'm going to tackle. Obviously, I can't talk about all the stuff here in this video. I just want to start the conversation because not many people talk about this. It's not a popular subject, but I am obsessed with it. I love Blender. I've been using it for a year, and I just love it. So that was my one thing. It's powerful in the sense that it's loaded with all kinds of stuff. You can do rigging and fire. I mean, I remember, for example, they have a render engine called Cycles, and it's only recently that we see Cinema 4D using a GPU supported render engine. Before that, it wasn't there. I mean, all kinds of like a node-based texturing. That was cool. That was introduced. It seems like because it's available for coders because it's an open source and a lot of people have input, they come up with things quicker than what Cinema 4D would. Cinema 4D wouldn't release something if it's not 100% stable. And I get it. As a company here too, like we don't just release stuff that's not fully there. But in some ways, it's exciting for users because we can kind of react to things quicker and see what it is and kind of get ahead of the curve. And that's something Blender's been doing. I mean, you look what Blender released over time that a lot of like people would catch on later. So that to me is exciting. Hold on, let me check back with you guys for a second. Indonesia, Rick. What's up, Rick? Being free and IT. Okay. John. Well, how much is Cinema 4D? I mean, you can argue that it's almost 4,000. Anyway, so let's keep going. At the end, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys have. But I'll just keep talking because I have nobody else monitoring my comments, so it's just me here. Vladimir is actually on the way. My twin brother is on the way to Texas right now. All right, so my next point is add-ons. So that goes with the whole community thing. For example, what people don't realize when they open up Blender, it doesn't just come as is. There are other things that you'll see in Blender. For example, let me do like a new project. So let me like create a new plane, like just a new plane. We have it in here. There's a new plane. I'm going to go to 7 top view, and I'll show you some cool add-ons just for fun, the things that I've been using lately. So if you go to preferences, and you can tell my computer's running low because of screen capturing here. But it's amazing because when you first open up Blender, you think that what you see is what you got. But a lot of times, I mean, most of the times, you got to go to this add-ons panel right here. And in there, you'll see all kinds of tools by community, testing. And this list is not even final. You can find more add-ons online. So chances are, if you're looking for something that was in your tool, whether it be Cinema 4D, 3D Max, Maya, chances are you can find an add-on that will get you close, or it might even be better. For example, there's this tool that I really love. I think it was called right here, this B surfaces and loop tools. Those things are amazing for modeling. For example, I can select this edge and do this notation, and I can just kind of, well, before I do that, let me do this 1 second. Let me get rid of this. So let me kind of throw loops, Control R, just kind of insert some loops in here, something like this, and let me select this edges. So, and then if I do notation tool and if just start drawing things like this, watch this, and then hit N, and under tools, I believe, no, they changed it up in a 2.8. I think it's in here. So then you can say, like, I want this, and then boom, and you can see right away it like creates a geometry. It's like for retopology and stuff. It's amazing, and you can. Whoop, something went wrong. Blender's freaking out. Hold on. I'm not sure what's going on. All right, I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway, every time I go live, things just freak out on me. But you can see, you can draw stuff, especially you can make it to where it snaps to the surface. If you model something, especially with a ZBrush, and then you want to do retopology, you can just draw things all day long. And I mean, sky's the limit what you can do with this. You can keep going, maybe select only these, and it changes based on views, and you can still use notation tool. You can draw different things, and then do again the same thing. And I don't want to play with this for some reason. There you go, it just adds more surfaces. Anyway, or more vertices or whatever, lines. But stuff like that exists in add-ons. You wouldn't even know about this if you just opened it up. I mean, there are things like, what was it called? Like the loop tools. I love this one. So for example, if I get out of this and do another plane, and let's do edit mode, and I'm just going to subdivide it for a second. So subdivide it a few times. And for example, if I'm modeling something and I want create some kind of a circle or something like that, I can just quickly select these, hit C, and kind of select these vertices. And instead of me trying to do it myself, I can just literally click on this circle right here, and it creates a circle for me. I can extrude things. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface, and it's kind of tough to do it live because a lot of elements can go wrong. But you can see that I'm just trying to show you that not everything what you see on the surface of Blender is all that you see. A lot of it is created by community. That's where the whole open source community comes in so handy. And that's something I'm very passionate about. So that's the open source element that I'm really excited about. But obviously, what I'm really excited about is this Blender 2.8. And you can see the new, let me open up a project that you can see. So the new UI redesign, I mean, all of this stuff is amazing. Obviously Eevee, but just in general, you can see different environments. You can shuffle through what things would look like in this HDRI. You can rotate it. I mean, it's amazing. It's just, you can quickly on the fly just kind of get a quick glimpse of what things might look like in certain environments. And then that's the final one. And you also now have the ability to turn things on and off. I love the UI. You need to follow Blender just to see it. I mean, so many new elements. And that's why I'm excited, because now, before Blender, if you paid attention, it just looked like a tool from the 90s. It just really, just did not look good at all. But now with this new UI, and you can actually select with the left click, mind-blowing. But anyway, add-ons, that was my next point. And then new UI. Obviously, new UI changes, really cool. We have all these beautiful icons, and just in general, it just looks like a legit tool. I think before, people just didn't respect Blender because of how it looked. And it's a sad thing. You judge a book by its cover, but that's how people judged Blender. And that was a sad thing, but it was still pretty powerful. But now UI makes it even more powerful, which I'm excited about. That, well, really the quick tools is where I love about Blender. If you follow our channel here, you would know that I'm all about shortcuts. And the fact that you can quickly go into edit tools. For example, if you do Control Tab, you can go to vertex paints, you can go to different modes quickly, and it's gesture based too. So you can go to edit mode, you can play around with pivot points. I mean, all these kind of pie menu based elements are amazing. You can go to top view, right or back. I mean, bottom. I love it. It's just amazing. So quickness of it, shortcuts. I'm getting used to a lot of the shortcuts, like the extrude, inner tool. All these things are amazing. Obviously, you can do the same thing in Cinema 4D, but for modeling, it's amazing. You can quickly add bevels, all of that stuff. Modeling, I love it. It's amazing. All right, a few more things, and I'm gonna eventually go to your questions. I'm not seeing any of it right now because I'm kind of focused on this right now. So. Quick tools, but also number one thing that I'm excited about is Eevee. And I'll go back to the scene I was just at. So just to kind of show you the contrast, if I were to do this in, Cycles or Cinema 4D render, or any of them really, if I were to render this scene, just this scene is full 1920 by 1080, 1920 1080. If I were to render this on the laptop that I'm in right now, it would take me a couple of minutes to do this. In fact, I would say it'd be probably as quick as Cycles, maybe close, right? If I were to hit F12, I hope it's not gonna collapse on me because a lot is going on here, but let me render this. Just look at how long it's taken to render one frame. So as you can see, here it goes. It's rendering one frame. It still has a lot to cover. So it's gonna go through this for a while, right? And I love 3D, but if I don't have render farm, if I don't have that luxury, if I use a laptop, it's kind of useless to me personally, unless you're doing just a still photography or still stuff, But if you're doing animation, you don't have a whole day to render quick little animation, and that's what it would take me on the laptop. All right, so I'm assuming, unless you work for a company that has a render farm, then yeah, you can do that stuff. But this is too long for one frame. Okay. However, and obviously this scene doesn't look that good because it wasn't created for Cycles, but let me show you the difference. Here's what it looks like with Eevee. And keep in mind, I have a screen capturing software running right now, so my computer is pretty heavy at the moment. So if I were to render this one frame, the same frame I just tried to render in Cycles, here's how long it takes. So I'm going to do it right now. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6. About 6 seconds, and you have a decent looking frame. Now, it's not super accurate like, Cycles or anything else would give you. Obviously, it's a gaming engine, but man, it can get you there in no time. It's almost as fast as After Effects if you try to do something like that in After Effects, right? So that to me is exciting. And you might argue and say, Cinema 4D has a lot of awesome features, quick edits and things like that. Yeah, it's awesome. But if you still have to wait a day to render something, that's where the argument ends. You see what I'm saying? So if you can get close with Blender, obviously you can't get the MoGraph features that Cinema 4D offers yet, because Cinema 4D caters to movie people and like obviously not MoGraphers yet. And that's why I want to use our platform to kind of spread the word, so that now they would pay attention to MoGraphers. I really want them to do that. I was actually in Amsterdam this last year. I got to meet Tan, Pablo, and Jacques, I'm sorry, and a lot of other people. It was exciting. They gave me a tour of Blender, Blender Institute. That's what it's called. And so I love the community. I know the people. It's been fun. But to me, the vibe that I got was, MoGraphs, we're not really catering to you at the moment. And I want to change that narrative. I think there are more MoGraphers than movie people or VFX or whatever. So I really want to change that tone. That's where I'm at so far. Let me see. Let me check back with you guys. Let me see what you guys are saying. All right, thanks, Steve, but it seems complicated. All right. All right, Rick, you missed me on how I got the cycle. So render engines. So the tabs are in here, like right here. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. It says render right under it, and in here you get to choose render engine. Right, you can say Eevee, you can say cycles. Those Eevee is the gaming engine. It's an awesome engine. I love it. It's great, super fast. It's not as good as Cycles, obviously. Cycles is like GPU supported. And by the way, Cycles been around longer than C4D. Like C4D didn't have GPU support until like a year ago or something like that, right? But Cycles had been around with Blender for a long time. So the fact that they introduced it was amazing. But now they even going a bit further with the Eevee, which is amazing. I love it. Hold on, let me see what else you guys are saying. So should I start with Blender then? If you're learning 3D, it doesn't matter what you learn it on. Well, yes and no. It does matter, obviously, you want to get familiar with the tool that you're in, but it doesn't. A tool is just a tool. I mean, a screwdriver is a screwdriver. Obviously, some screwdrivers are better, but if you understand how to use a screwdriver, it won't take you long to pick up another complicated looking screwdriver to figure it out. So Blender is a good one to learn the basics on if you don't feel like pirating software and if you don't have the access to render farm. But the fact that you can do it quick is amazing. Let me show you another one, for example. Let me open up. You've all seen my Ukramedia open that I designed in Blender. So this is the open. Let me, by the way, Z, I love this pie menu stuff. Oh, I mean, it's amazing. If you hit Z, you kind of shuffle through stuff. And if you want to turn off the cameras, all that jazz, you can just click on them like this, hit 0 to go to the camera. I mean, amazing. So let me kind of open this up. So if I preview this, watch this. This is real-time render. Obviously, it's nothing complicated, but the shadows and everything. I mean, for a MoGraph piece, and by the way, I didn't do much work. I had to convert it from Cycles, so it doesn't look accurate just yet. But you can see this is real-time rendering. I can pause, and obviously I can adjust the reflections, all that stuff. But that's what it looks like. If you've seen Ukramedia open, that's all it is. It's very simple. I wanted it to be simple because I had to do it on the laptop, and I used Cycles to render it. So I didn't want to add a lot of geometry, so I created it using Cycles in Blender. But then Eevee came out, and I'm like, dang, you can do it in Eevee. Anyway, that's what it looks like. But for quick stuff like that, I mean, let's see how long it would take to render this using Eevee. Just something like that. Let's say I'm going to press F12. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Wait, hold on. Where is it going to show up? Oh, there you go. It's done. So no time. It looks pretty decent. For obviously, you can go and add blur and all kinds of stuff. You can bring it into compositing and add more stuff. But what I'm saying, the render speed is what's more exciting to me. You can, for example, it's the same kind of Mac versus PC. Macs are better in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, for the price that you pay, right, it's all about the specs for me, right? It's the specs. You can show all the cool stuff it can do. At the end of the day, which one's faster? Which one has better specs? That's what it comes down to. And for me, I mean, if I can impress my client, if I'm a freelancer with 3D stuff and I can knock it out in no time, I would go with that. I'm just saying this, the video you guys showed when you clicked the live stream, the the sports looking, this thing right here. I mean, I'm even playing it live right now with all the elements. This is where, I mean, it's pretty much live rendered right now. Obviously, it's not as good because when you render it, it's more crisp. But that's how it looks. I didn't have to do any other compositing at all. That's what it looks like. You can add easily, for example, I can add, let me do this. I can add another light. Let's go to lights, point. And I do have, if you press T, you can see your tools. I do have volumetric light in here. So if I select on the lights, I can crank this up. Let's crank this up. I can make it blue. You know, I can, what I'm saying is you can do all of this stuff on the fly and you can kind of see what it would do. So maybe if I go to camera view, what if I wanted to crank this up to like something like that? Maybe not that much, but you want to make sure that the shadow, let me see. There you go. So sky's the limit what you can do with this, but you can add interesting kind of elements like a light bleeding through stuff. I don't know. For motion graphics, it's amazing. All right. Yeah, Rick, I see what you're doing there. What is your favorite kind of ice cream? Vanilla. Off-topic question. I'm just reading what someone's asking here. Cole. All right. Well, let's see where I'm at with... okay, fast real-time render. I hope I was able to show you that the fact that you can do this fast is amazing. Like a lot of you probably seen my tutorial I did recently on... where's it at? What was it? Logo transition, logo wipe, right? So a lot of you probably seen this, and let me see. So that's real time. That's pretty cool. You can, I mean, it took no time to render this sucker. So you can see, I can see in real time all the reflections. I can render it, and it's 3D. I mean, what's that worth to you? The speed is where it's at. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, well, one more thing I want to mention, then I'm going to start answering questions. And by the way, I wasn't as prepared for this. I just want to jump in because I spent like a whole evening talking to people after posting a video, and a lot of people showing interest. So I figured instead of me talking to one person, let me just kind of talk to a lot of you at the same time. So I don't really have like this scripted and prepared talk with you, but I do have some points. So node-based stuff is what I'm really excited about. They have node-based texturing and also compositing. I'm not going to go into it. You can watch this tutorial that I did on logo transition. I kind of covered it. But the fact that you can do textures with node-based is amazing. I love it. All right, well, let me kind of look at the questions. I wrote down some questions that you guys asked before I went live, and then I'll go live and see what you guys are saying. Someone said something, studios don't use Blender. I already talked about that. You're right, they don't, because nobody's talking about Blender. And this new release isn't out yet. It's 2.8. It's not even out. It's going to be out in about 3 weeks with completely new UI and everything else. I mean, it's looking like a package. It looks like a real 3D application with legit stuff. And let me kind of show you some stuff. Hold on. I love the fact that Blender always had the physics that were pretty advanced. So if I go to physics tab, I can do, let's do smoke. We call it domain. Okay, and this one's going to be smoke. Let's do flow. And if I preview this, so I love this stuff. Like you can you can add this to your motion graphics stuff. I mean, sky's the limit what you can do with these. And the same thing goes for like fluids and like the cloth. I mean, it has all of that stuff. But the reason why a lot of studios don't use it is because no one talks about it, and Blender's finally, has something presentable. And not only that, it's only going to, I have a feeling that more and more people are going to talk about Blender. Just my gut feeling. All right, then we have quality difference. Well, if you mean quality like renders, well, if you use cycles, redshift and cycles, I mean, to me, I mean, I think cycles is just as good. In fact, Cinema 4D has ability to bring cycles to where you can use cycles in Cinema 4D. A lot of people use cycles as a Cinema 4D render engine. Well, probably not so much anymore because obviously Cinema 4D has redshift as it's a part of it, I'm pretty sure. And so, but it's the same quality. It depends on how high you crank up the numbers and stuff like that. Then learning curve. A lot of people were asking learning curve. And yeah, I mean, before it was even worse because UI was all over the place. It was like a secret society. You had to know like certain kinds of handshakes to kind of get things done. I mean, you had to know these secret shortcuts and it was kind of frustrating. Things like add-ons you didn't even know existed until you got to a certain level. I'm telling you, it was like a secret society. You know, you're 33 degree now. You can learn about add-ons. It was that crazy. But now I think more people are aware of where things are because of things like F3. You can click it and you can search for anything you want. You know, like bevel, or well, I guess you have to be in certain mode. If you're in a modeling mode and you press F3 and you look for bevel, and you can see bevel options, you can see the shortcuts. So this thing is huge. So I just think Blender did a good job. They realized, hey, if we focus on the UI and make it more easy, well, like keep in mind, these buttons right here weren't even here. Like all of this stuff that they have now, you can select the face, edges, points, you know, you can select the face, you can do extrude, like you can do, you know, click on it, hold it, you can do different kind of extrusions. Sky's the limit what you can do with these, right? You can go back to extrude. I use shortcuts, but I'm just saying these buttons weren't even available before, you know? You can go to the side here and kind of make something interesting here. Anyway, I'm just trying to show you that that wasn't even available. So I think the learning curve is a lot better now than it used to be because more and more people can actually see things right where they're supposed to be. And that's definitely exciting. And so I think the UI push was a great idea. All these elements, you can work on a laptop now. You can click over here on the laptop and move it around without, before you had to click on the middle mouse button, but now you don't have to do that. You can just click on this. A lot of useful stuff, snapping, everything where it needs to be. And I think that's the game changer for Blender. This is where things are going to change for Blender. And I'm a strong believer of it because the UI. And that's something they always pushed aside. They're like, no, we don't need the UI. We're good with the secret handshakes and stuff. Well, not so much because new people were struggling. And as far as Blender to Cinema 4D, that's the next question someone asked. Well, there are add-ons, and I haven't used it much because I kind of been finishing stuff in Blender, but I think called After Effects. Well, it's somewhere in there. There's actually an add-on to where you can export. I think it might be an export. So you can kind of go, let's see, probably should be more prepared for this stuff. Where is it? I think it's at the bottom right here. Import, export, but there's something for After Effects. Let's see, somewhere in here. I'm sure a lot of you guys seen it. If you just type like tutorial how to export stuff from Blender into After Effects, all the data. I'm not sure where it went, but it's in there somewhere. But I never use it because I never had to, but it's there. You can export all the lights, the camera, just like you can in Cinema 4D. And with that, let me kind of go back into the chats and hold on. You guys are still with me? Let me know. I'm going to go live in chat now and kind of answer your questions. Let's see how you guys are doing. All right, Rick, motion tracking. Yeah, all of that. Motion tracking, all of that is, just Google it. I'm not going to have the time now. Just motion tracking, all of that's available. And there's so many. The only problem with Googling tutorials for Blender right now, because the UI changed so much, that if you watch stuff, it's just kind of, you kind of have to know what you're doing because it seems like they're starting all over again with the new UI. So yeah, but motion tracking, you can do physics, simulations, all kinds of stuff, yeah. So what do we have? Be great, Ukramedia would become a great skill girl for Blender. Hey, listen, the reason why I'm doing Blender, and it's not a popular subject, trust me, a lot of people have been asking me to do Cinema 4D tutorials. And, you know, do the sports graphics in Cinema 4D. I mean, I can do it, I've done it, but it's more exciting to do it in Blender. I don't know what it is. I'm just super passionate about Blender. The reason why I'm doing it is for the fact that I'm passionate about Blender. I can't explain it. I was that guy that everyone's like, oh yeah, you're the Blender guy. But I was always kind of like in the closet with it, because it wasn't popular. And eventually I said, forget it. I'm going to tell the world that Blender is a good tool. And it is. It should be well respected. All right. How are we doing? Any other questions? So let's see. What's up, Steve? Okay. Mark, Steve. Man, the same suspects here. Oh, let me refresh this window. But anyway, I just want to let you know that here we're still going to be doing After Effects and expressions tutorials, but I'm going to start slowly injecting Blender tutorials, and I'll see if I can do Blender and After Effects combined. For example, creating something sports graphics and then maybe finishing it up in After Effects to where you can easily change things using mogurts and things of that nature. I think it would complement it very well. All right. Yeah. So it's an interesting time. I'm reading through the comments here. Sorry. It's an interesting time for Blender because it's almost like it's a big shift. And you wouldn't think the UI would do that, but a good UI would. And that's exactly what's going on with Blender. Because I think Blender is good. A lot of Maya people switching to Blender because it's a great tool for what they do. But Blender kind of been pushing motion graphics aside. And that's why I wanted to. That's why I'm doubling down on it. I'm gonna make it known in the motion graphic community because we need tools for mographers. I mean, obviously there are areas where Cinema 4D will blow Blender out of the water. Things like MoGraph features. I mean, even text and splines and things of that nature. You can essentially do everything in Cinema 4D without going to Illustrator nowadays. But you still kind of have to use Illustrator for some stuff with Blender, and that's frustrating, And just a lot of elements, even like effectors and things of that nature. And they're doing things with like animation nodes. I mean, gets you there close, but it's not the same. And even like a cloner tool, it's not the same. I just wish they would tweak some things. So, but it's a good conversation for Blender to have. And they're not going to have a conversation until a lot of people show interest in it. Because when I was talking to Ton in Amsterdam, I was like, Ton, you got to do something with the mographers. Like you're missing out on the MoGraph people. We have a lot more motion graphics people than everyone else. Like you'd have more funding if you do it that way. And I don't think he was like, I don't think he had much hopes, but we got to make him believe that it's a great MoGraph tool. What do we have? Can you use 3D if you don't know how to draw? Heck yeah. I'm not the best at drawing. 3D is like a lot of time in MoGraph world, you hardly ever do modeling. It's a lot of it is modifying, a lot of stuff. You'll do modeling. It pays to know how to model. I learned how to model and all that stuff. I know how to model. But the thing is, a lot of times you'd be buying models or getting somebody else's model and you'll be designing things to make them. I'll show you an example. Let's go back to the sports graphics. So if you're creating a sports graphics, I mean, knowing how to draw helps to kind of sketch things, ideas out, but essentially it's just cube. I mean, I didn't have to draw any. It depends on where you're going to. If you're doing like character animation, character design, then yeah, drawing is huge. But for motion graphics, you just have to have a design eye to kind of like, okay, well, it's basically piecing things together. And for that, I mean, it's just playing. It's a whole different skill. It's kind of when I was designing this, I was like, I'm going to make this here or make it on that, or it's just playing around to see what you can come up with. You can like, hey, maybe putting blue light behind it will pop the whole thing. I probably need to do that. Or putting these lights on, but what if I flicker? So a lot of it is just playing around. That's all that is. And don't sell yourself short because you don't know how to draw. I mean, I would advise you to draw. I mean, I draw to some level to where I can sketch ideas quicker. But at the end of the day, I mean, learning how to do it in the tool is also good. Personally, all right, let's see what's going on here. So the new version, Francisco, we have Francis. I'm sure I'm butchering your name, but you're saying when the new version of Blender is coming out. So Blender posts something daily. That's the beautiful thing. Like, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So hold on, let me do this. I'll do So if you go to builder, builder.blender.org, that's a daily, like it was posted, what is it, 20 yesterday, or yeah, whatever it is today. So they post something daily, and they have the new versions and the old, like the final, like the current version of Blender and the one that's they're working on, beta, right? And that's so cool. You get to see what they're working on daily. And to me, that's exciting. And I've been doing that. I download it almost every day just to see what they've added and things of that nature. So definitely go there, builder.blender.org. It's a great website. All right, any more questions? I don't even know how long I've been doing this. What are we at right here? Let's see. I don't even have the timer. 1 second. So not quite an hour yet. So I'll probably have some more questions to answer. Let's see. What do you guys think so far? Like, what do you want to see? What kind of tutorials would you like for me to tackle? And the reason why I want to do the course, I want to, like, obviously I know how to create this stuff now, but the reason why I want to do the course, it gives me that extra motivation, because sometimes you have work and you have fun stuff, but when you combine the two, it gives you that extra drive to finish it. And as you work on the course, you become better. And that's ultimately my goal with teaching. I love teaching because it helps me to be better. A lot of times when for example, when I first introduced expressions, I did like a tutorial, what is it, like 16 useful expressions or something like that. Those are the only ones I probably knew at the time, but because I committed to it and I did the research, and my mind expanded, and I just boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, I know a lot more. So to me, even these courses, it might seem like, hey, you're trying to make a buck. In some ways, yeah, I want to support what I'm doing. But in a lot of ways, it puts pressure on me. For example, when you have a free product or project and a paid project, you will get the paid project done faster. And the free one will get some attention, but you ultimately, that's what pays the bills. And what I figured out for myself, when you attach your learning to a product, it's a no-brainer for me. It forces me to learn, and at the same time, I benefit from it financially as well. And it's a kind of it's been good for me. That it's a good motivator, and I've learned that's how I learn. I have to have that pressure. If I don't, it'll never get done. I don't know if you guys can relate. I mean, you do that at work. You have deadlines. If you don't have the deadline, you'll never get stuff done. I'm sorry. Free doesn't pay bills. Let's see. What do you guys have? Being for work and real pay. Nice. Steve, man, I've been watching your stuff. Like I saw the fluid simulation you've done recently. That was pretty cool. Demiurge Studio. Demiurge. I'm terrible at pronouncing name. You want to make animated series. Anyway, that's cool. A Cinema 4D to Blender course would be great. Mark? Well, here's the problem with Cinema 4D to Blender. Those kinds of courses, they're great in a lot of ways, but where the learning happens when you do stuff. Like if I show you the features and stuff, you'll think it's awesome at the time, but unless you're doing a project, then it doesn't stick as much. So that's why I learned from my own experience that unless you have end result, it's not necessarily just looking up and watching stuff. It's as you're doing it, that's when you learn. And that's why I want to do these mini courses on like how to do this sports graphics in Blender, or and then you watch me, just my process, how I got there. It's so much better for you to do that before I actually explain every inch of the software. I don't know if that makes sense. Because sometimes you wouldn't go past certain point unless you were pushed to do it. That's why a lot of times when I do my tutorials, like useful tips and tricks or expressions, when I do like 20 of them, I purposely go fast to where I don't even give you time to stop and think, so that you can kind of force yourself into the next point without giving up. Because I get it, expressions are not fun, and they definitely want you to push on those brakes. But because the pace that I'm throwing at you and the excitement, and it kind of fools you in a lot of ways. It's like me playing soccer. I hate working out, but when I play soccer, I forget the fact that I'm running. And it's because you're excited, you're in the moment, and that pace or that excitement is going with you. I'm probably talking too much at this point. Oh, let's see, 45. What do we have? Okay. Are you aware if Blender object? I don't know much about the development as far as like motion blur. I know you can like turn it on for Eevee and stuff like that. I'll have to look into that. So can you start a whole Blender AE tutorial series? Manai. Blender After Effects. Yeah, I can do that. You know, that's what we do. Cinema 4D and Blender, that's what we kind of, it works well together. But so does Blender. Before GPU supported renders and stuff, we had to do a lot of passes, especially like at Fox Sports. You'd be surprised. We were still on non-GPU, like a indirect light type engine, like a Cinema 4D, like standard render engine, whatever that name was. I think it was Cinema 4D render engine. And we had to use 3-point lighting and a lot of compositing. There's a lot of work that goes into compositing. And if you can get something done quicker using GPU supported, right, it's impressive. And you don't have to do as much, or maybe you can bring it into After Effects, add some smoke, or maybe like some dust elements to where you don't have to. You can use footage instead of doing it all in 3D, right? But now you can, since you have all that time to render, right? So you can introduce more stuff to it and actually interact with. When the doors open, the smoke will go with the doors. That stuff can be interesting. So yeah. Cinema 4D Blender and After Effects can complement each other, and they do have, like I showed earlier, add-ons that can export lights and things of that nature to where you can have the data, 3D data in your After Effects you can attach lights to. So I probably should I should do some tutorials on that subject for sure. All right. Any other questions? By the way, thank you so much for being here. Happy Friday to all of you. I know a lot of you probably either watching this at work, or if you're in Europe, it's probably nighttime. But I want to thank you for coming on and doing live stuff. It's always a little nerve-wracking because it's live. You can't do Control Z live. But it is exciting because I can actually have conversation with you guys. I can see what you guys like and what you guys do not like. And if you ask a question later on and I didn't see it, you can ask it right now because I'm not going as far. I have the kids. I'm not sure if I follow you there. Okay. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. Definitely let me know what you guys think about Blender. And I hate to be that guy. I'm telling you, at Fox Sports, I provided so many jokes for my coworkers. They always made fun of me for that. Blender, it does come across like an amateur tool. Thank you for your time and energy. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you, Saeed, or I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm the worst at pronouncing names, so I apologize. I have nothing but respect for you. Okay, Mark, I would be all in for a paid training for Blender. Good. Awesome. Thanks, man. Well, the reason why I mentioned before, I like doing courses because, I give away a lot of free stuff, but sometimes courses, not only does it fund what we do because, we don't have, this is it for us, me and my twin brother run this thing, but it also forces me, because when there's a purpose, like a financial and also to learn, when I combine the two, I get things done much quicker, and it gives me the ability to do what I want to do. Like if I want to learn Blender, well, you know what? I can create a course and focus my attention on it and learn it and show you how I arrived there while it's fresh, and I can get some financial help from you guys from it, and also you learn from it as well. So it's a win-win, I think. All right. Hope to see you back soon. Thanks, Mark. Hey, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Vladimir is not with me today. He's actually traveling to Texas. So this is me flying solo. Stevie, show us the wireframe of that scene. Okay, wireframe. Here you go. And actually, even the wireframe, I like how they have this random. That's so cool. You can kind of see what's going on. It's really nothing complicated, Steve. It's, really, with the 3D stuff, it's just placing you can get a nice looking 3D spot with basic shapes. But it's just designing it, making it, just camera angles like at Fox Sports will make things big. It's how you approach it. For example, let me show you this. So, wait, did I mess this one up? Yeah, I messed it up. I think it's this one. Yeah, there you go. So I was just playing around. You can use the same scene and make it look different. For example, this one spins around from the corner. and then it goes to another corner. Like after a while, you can kind of wipe away. Obviously, it's lagging, so it's not gonna be that slow. But with 3D, it's just because it's so with the graphics for sports, because it's so fast, you can get away. For example, stuff in the back. I mean, it's not much detail. It's just like a plane, like literally plane, but you just place it in there, and next thing you know, your eye fools it, like it adds more detail. So you don't have to do a lot of detail in fast 3D stuff. You just have to focus on the front, and the rest, like these lights, for example. Let me kind of show you what they look like before they light up. It's just a texture that I use, and it kind of just lights up. So anyway, I think it's so much fun. It's been a while since I've done sports graphics, and the fact that I can do it now with Blender, it's just brings joy to my heart. I'm not gonna lie, I miss doing graphics because I kind of got myself into After Effects world, and nothing wrong with After Effects, but it's kind of nice to do 3D because many of you don't know this, but I'd say about 85 or 90% of my work has been 3D, and I kind of locked myself into After Effects. Okay, cool stuff. Okay, what is C4D better than? What is C4D better than Blender? Panda asks. Well, C4D has better motion graphic features, and what I mean by that, like effectors, like affecting multiple objects, and even an array has more features and stuff like that. It definitely blows everybody out of the water. I mean, they can do a lot of stuff on a bigger scale. Like you can do multiple objects. Now, granted, you can do with particles and animation nodes. You can get close, but it's more knowledge, more stuff you have to know about in Blender. So that, that's tough to beat with Cinema 4D. And partially it's because Blender is not focusing on motion graphics, people. And not that they can't do it, but they can. And that's why I want to focus on that. Another thing, well, Blender, I think, is much better at UV unwrapping and UV editing in general than Cinema 4D, I think. Also, C4D is better at like curves and like bevels. They have all these. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I love Cinema 4D too. This is not me hating on Cinema 4D. It's a great tool. It's an amazing tool. They got it down. But Eevee, you can't beat Eevee. Okay, I keep saying that I'm leaving. Hi from France. Vicky, welcome from France. That's awesome. What do you think about Fusion 16? Could it be good too for Blender? And I'm not sure. I don't know much about Fusion 16, so can't help you there. I'm so sorry. If anyone knows the answer to that, go for it. Francisco, thank you for the support. Stevie. So animation nodes, and by the way, I got to meet Jacques, the guy who's big on the whole animation nodes. He's the guy that created it, obviously. And when I met him in Amsterdam, it was his first day on the job, and I was texting him like, "Hey man, you're gonna be there?" I was like, "Yeah, it's my first day," and that was so cool. I was in Amsterdam when he started at Blender, and I have a video. I should have showed it. Oh man. So I like Jacques. He's so cool. Like the dude is super humble and so talented. And he's working on something called All Nodes or something, Project All Nodes for Blender. And I'm hoping that the animation, everything will be kind of node based. And animation nodes is kind of like that. But it's kind of, the learning curve in that is so tough. I mean, I struggle with it. And because you kind of have to know what you're doing. Like more than usual. Like in Cinema 4D, everything is UI based, offset, you understand it. Like if they would go that route, it would be much better, right? For like fall off, you can just, pull on things, and next thing you know, you have the fall off. But with animation nodes, it's a bit more tough. But it can be done. It's just not as intuitive, that's all. That's my argument. But hopefully they'll have something more easy to understand. And I believe in Jacques. He's a super, super talented guy. All right. Thank you from Houston, Texas. Wait, JYTV, didn't I meet you at NAB? I might have. My brother's actually in Texas somewhere. I'm not sure where. Vladimir flew out to Texas. Okay. All right, let me look at the watch. Let's see what we're doing here. 56. 4 more minutes and I'm going to call it quits because we've been for an hour. Well, I hope this was useful to you guys. I really do. I'm not I didn't come as prepared, but I just wanted to show you that I'm excited. We're going to do more stuff with Blender, and that's where we're going to go. Blender. I love it. I believe in it, and you'll see why soon. Hi, please tell about we can make small video on Blender using no other VFX. Not sure if you're... Why are you ignoring me? Oh, I am ignoring you? Hold on. Did you ask something? If I'm ignoring you, it's just me doing it here. Hold on, let me see. Let me scroll up. I did not want to ignore you. Did you ask something? If you ask me something, re-ask again. I promise you I wasn't trying to ignore you. I'm not sure what Suresh, I'm not sure what you're asking. Hi, please tell about we can make small video on Blender using no other VFX and other rendering software. So basically you want everything in Blender? I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. MoGraph is the best word. Fusion 16 is node-based motion graphics program. DaVinci. Oh yeah, I've heard of the name. I've never used it. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure it's great. Blender is weak on the MoGraph stuff. Yeah, because not many people are talking about it. And I'm not saying that Blender is the best. Don't confuse me. But what I'm saying, there's a lot of potential in Blender. It's not an amateur tool. But the problem is they're not catering to MoGraphers until we make it known that, hey man, we want to see some features from for MoGraphers, but yeah, it's not going to be MoGraph tool if we don't start using it, right? You got to start somewhere. NT Productions, by the way, Nate, what's your last name, Nate? I can't remember. NT Productions, it's a YouTube channel. You guys should definitely subscribe. That guy creates some of the best tutorials on I talk to Nate all the time, by the way, on scripting in After Effects. Dude is just out there, and like After Effects scripting, he should be having like way more subscribers because his knowledge is. You guys should definitely follow right now. Stop what you're doing. NT Productions, follow that guy. He's super great. 2 more minutes. All right, let's see what else. Okay, would you say that Blender's viewport is more robust than C4D's when it comes to speed and handling of multiple objects with lots of polygons? Yeah, well, Blender has a lot more features now. For example, like you have all these things you can do. Wireframe, there's like definitely for sure, like I wouldn't say it's better than C4D, but it's not as what it used to be. I mean, there's a lot of they've added a lot of features, things you can turn on and off, like for these, what are they called? Overlays. There's a lot of overlays so you can kind of speed up the process. But you're talking about handling big projects? I mean, the projects I've been working on so far have had no problems. Okay, tell me about free plugin for Blender. About free plugin for Blender. Like add-ons? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't think they have plugins. Let's see. Animation nodes is something different from everything. Nodes. Oh, okay, yeah. I heard actually. Everything nodes is what Jacques is working on right now. Yeah, it might be different. You might be right. I think you are right. Okay. Wait, Jacques is here. Holy crap. Hey, thanks for the nice words. So this Jacques is, Jacques, man, I'm honored, and I'm probably butchering your name. He's here. The dude that creates animation nodes is here. You should check him out. Hey, tell us about animation nodes. We should have you on our podcast talking about animation nodes. Tell us about where it's at and where you think it's going. Blender tutorials. Will you do? I'll do more Blender tutorials, but I want to do more topic based. We'll see. Please make a beginner Blender tutorial. Definitely planning on doing that. Let's see. Alfred. What's up, Alfred? So we have, hi, Sergey. Good to see after a long time. What do you think about the future of Blender? I use C4D for much. Look, listen, C4D is not going away. Again, this is not to diss Cinema 4D by no means. If I needed to get a job done and I had a render farm, I'd go with Cinema 4D. No questions asked. However, if I have a laptop and I need to do 3D, we have a different conversation now, you see? Because Eevee can get the job done. And, you can say all you want about effectors that C4D offers, but to be honest with you, when I worked at Fox Sports, we didn't use that many. I didn't use that many effectors for a lot of things because you had to bake him to send him through render farm. That you had to do all these. And other thing is we had to convert him and send him to VizRT, which is another software for real-time rendering type deal. So we were like, you didn't want to use a lot of effectors because it messed things up. So you had to do it differently for broadcast anyway. So it wasn't a problem at all. So Vladimir's in Houston. But Vlad, that's where he's at. He's just landed in Houston. Okay. Man, so many questions. This is good. Hi everyone. Jake is here. Raphael, NT Productions. You're too kind. No, seriously, Nate, man, he's got some solid stuff. Okay, yes, podcast. Hey, Vlad, you're on it. Jacques is in the chat room somewhere here. He's super. That's the guy that I met in Amsterdam. I was there on the first day, wasn't I? Jacques, I met you on the first day at Blender. And man, we should have him on a podcast talking about animation notes and just the development of Blender. Vlad is the podcast guy, just so you know. Could you please give more people to follow on YouTube? Thanks. Follow you on YouTube? Sure. Follow Shimmer Stockton. Rafael. I can't speak. Is it Spanish? All right. Man, I'm so thrilled that Jacques got on here, man. And Nate, this is awesome. Nate, we should probably get Nate on the podcast too. All right. I think we're over an hour. All right. This is where it gets fun. I don't want to get off because I want to keep talking to you guys. A lot of times when I do tutorials, it's so lonely. You kind of just sit in here and record and stop and mess up and record and mess up again. And you're like questioning your life. No, I'm just video podcast. Cool. Jacques. Yep. Okay. Hello from Brazil. Darla de Faria Sierra. Or something like that. I'm so sorry. Привет. Извини. Видный вопрос. Но мне важно знать. Ты говоришь по-русски? Я говорю по-русски, но очень плохо. Так что мои родители... By the way, those of you listening, this is Russian. Мои родители по-английски не говорят, так что мне надо по-русски с ними разговаривать. Так что я не очень... Уже слова забываю, но я могу по-русски говорить. Jacques is a genius. Amen. All right. This is fun. I would love to do this probably like once a week if you guys were up for it. Raphael said, I understand, but... Oh, gotcha. Steve. Man, I love your dogs, by the way. I see them all the time. How to make and what we need to make showreel. Suresh. Showreel, you mean like a demo reel, right? That's a whole different subject. We probably should do like demo reel reviews because I've never done one of those. And I always say, keep it short. Keep in mind, we're living in a day and age where you have someone's attention for like literally 15 seconds, if that, 10 seconds max. And you need to wow them in like 5 seconds. And so whatever you put out there, man, don't think, I just need to create more is more, like have like 5 minutes of work. They're not going to watch the whole 5 minutes. Just like you guys don't watch my whole tutorials. You probably watch somebody like, I got the point, and you checked out, right? Well, in the same way, when you create a demo reel, I mean, you can even keep it 30 seconds and just like, you want to, basically, here's what you want. You want to create like a lot of boom, 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 boom action and just a lot of cool stuff and just end it, boom, leave them hungry, right? And then to where they're sitting on the edge, they're like, holy cow, I need to know more. I want to see more. Like, this guy's exciting. You don't want to give them all at once. You need to just kind of show them what you're capable of and just leave them hanging and be like, hey, want to learn more? Give me a call. And that's how you do a show reel. How you do it, it's up to you. Just show your best work, but do it shorter. Don't do like 1 minute is even too much, I think. All right, recently used Blender to recreate the Killing Eve title sequence just for the fun of it. John, that's awesome. Blender is amazing. Darla, hello from Peru. I have Peruvian friends, Roberto and Maria Aramburu. So Peru, they're from Lima. There's Lima, Ohio, and Lima, Peru. Look forward to the first Blender tutorial. Actually, it wouldn't be the first because I already did one on logo transitions. You should check it out. All right. Okay. I think that's it. 206. Make a second Ukramedia channel dedicated to Blender. You know, Mark, funny you say that. We're actually, we're talking about that. I keep trying to leave, and you guys keep pulling me back in. That's actually something we were thinking about. So trying to separate the two, but at the same time, is it a good idea though? I don't know. Let me know if you think separate YouTube channel for Blender only would be a better idea. I don't know. Это круто, очень приятно, что ты можешь чуть-чуть говорить по-русски. Your thoughts are so cool, by the way. Keep it up. Very useful. Спасибо. Я родился в Киеве, так что мой русский переехал, когда мне было 12 лет. Так что мой русский на том уровне. Как 12 лет, как я говорил, так и говорю. Steve. Already done an amazing in-depth one. Okay. What country are you in? Okay. Ukraine. So one more thing and I'm out. Blender, do you guys think it should be a separate channel? I'm curious to see what you guys say about that. Does it need to be a separate channel, or is it something you keep it within Ukramedia umbrella? The problem is no one's searching motion graphics in Blender until you introduce it to the crowd that we already have, motion graphics people. So that's where we're kind of separating. All right. Peru, we have Russia. Okay, and that's it. I think I'm going to be calling it quits. Let me do this. All right. By the way, before you check out, make sure you, the link at the bottom of this channel, just if you're interested in Blender course that I mentioned before, make sure you go there and click on the link. It'll take you to a page and just sign up. We just want to see if people are interested in it before we, dedicate more time. So it will take a second of your time. We'll keep updating you. We're not going to spam you. We do this new fundraiser thing to where we sell your information to the companies. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do that. But no, we just want to see the interest. I learned that two things. There are things that people say they want to learn, and there are things people default to. For example, people say, "Hey, I want to learn expressions," and then they default not to learning it. Or, "Hey, I want to work out and get in good shape and eat healthy," but then they default to sitting on the couch eating donuts. So I learned that I need to be careful what people say they want and what they actually default to. So it's a real balance you kind of have to figure out. Creating your great tutorial is awesome. Please focus on creating great pro motion designer using Blender. The argument Blender is not a industrial standard is getting weaker. I agree, Mohammed. At some point, you can't avoid the speed in render. And even if the quality is close, because obviously it's a render engine, at some point you gotta make the switch. You're like, that's important. Please just focus on creating tutorials. Keep it up. Channel makes a playlist to get Blender versus Cinema 4D. Blender is better. Again, I'm not saying who's better. I'm saying Cinema 4D is better for MoGraph for obvious reasons, but the speed you can't ignore. So nice people. Okay. It is nice to see everybody from around the world, Steve. Are you... If the market is warm, I think the market... I'm not sure if it's warm, but I think the market is ready. Before... I don't know how to address it. I think the price, because of the price of everything else... you can't ignore Blender. That's all. I don't know how to say it, but what I'm going to say is you can no longer brush it off when people are coming up with stuff that look amazing. And you're like, holy cow, in the free software? What am I doing not looking into that? You see what I'm saying? It's going to start increasing. Amsterdam here, Netherlands. I've been to Amsterdam. Beautiful city. And I actually rented a bike and I did the whole bike tour, or I just rode around on the bike. That was so cool. I was on the phone and stuff, and people were like, "Dude, don't be on the phone while you ride a bike. You can get like a ticket for it." I was like, "What?" I didn't believe it, but I didn't get a ticket. I got off my phone. I prefer Cinema 4D for motion graphics. I do too. And you know what? If I was working for a Fox Sports, I'd be using it more and more and more. But because I work for myself, I have I don't have like a render farm to work with. Then, and plus, like my dream is to educate people, and it's so cool to go into a classroom and be like, "Hey, everybody, download Blender. Let me teach you 3D." To me, that's exciting. It takes limitations off of me because I can teach 3D to people. All right, well, that's it. I gotta get off. 2:11. But I want to keep talking to you guys. You guys are so cool. In the 70s in the US. All right. Cinema 4D is amazing and it's not free. I agree. And if you're working for a company, then it's great. I just don't believe in pirating stuff, so I don't do pirating. And if you don't do client work, you kind of have to justify. It's like, should I spend 4K on C4D? Or I think it makes sense for freelancers right now, but it's gonna, eventually the market will demand it. All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Sergey. I love talking to you guys. This is so much fun. Like, I wish I could do this every single day, but I get it. We all have lives, and but I want to see if maybe I can do this again another day. This was fun. But thank you for tuning in. My name is Sergey, and again, go down below, click on the link, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and join our mentoring group. A lot of the people that I see on here are already on mentoring group. Steve is there, and a lot of other people. So join it. It's totally free. Ukramedia.com/community. It's a Facebook group. We have a podcast you should check out. Ukramedia.com/podcast. My twin brother runs it. We've interviewed all kinds of people. And yeah, it's definitely worth it. But in the meantime, my name is Sergey Prokhnevsky, and this is Ukramedia.com, and I'm going to play the, the trailer. Oh, by the way, let me show this. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on. This is how I do stuff. Look at this. I can say, hey, go to full screen, and I can say logo wipe, right? Boom. And it goes to full screen, or obviously I have two screens going on here. I can say, hey, this is how I started. I would say go here. And I'm back again. So that's how I've been able to switch this stuff. It's really cool. I love it. I do screen capturing. I mean, this is a free software, OBS Studio. You guys should check it out. I just want to give them a shout out. But in the meantime, I'm going to let this ad run again. But you guys were awesome. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.